Welcome to this session on Nirvana Shatakam. We start with the gratitude towards the Lord, through whose grace everything is possible. We pray to this Guru Shishya Parampara, through which this knowledge is preserved, protected, and passed on for generations. I pay my respects to my Guruji, Puja Guruma, with whose grace I am learning the scriptures and sharing this understanding with you. We start with a prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So Nirvana Shatakam itself, the word means, Nirvana means freedom or moksha. It is a word which is used quite frequently in our scriptures, and it is a word used for freedom and moksha even in the Buddhist tradition also. Shatakam essentially means that these are a group of 6 shlokas or mantras which denote the freedom or moksha. This Grantha, which is a Vedanta Grantha, was written by Adi Shankaracharya ji in a poetry meter, so that it can be sung and it can be a part of our daily prayer ritual. It gives the message of the crux of the Vedanta and the Upanishad, which tells us that self-knowledge is freedom. Essentially knowing our own self, doing an inquiry, going deep within our own self, understanding what we are not, and then finally understanding what we are, is the way to developing this self-inquiry and leading up to the self-knowledge which leads to this freedom, moksha. So freedom, which is called moksha, mukti or nirvana, is construed quite differently by different people. What Vedanta tries to tell us that freedom is from all our worldly pains, miseries, our bondage, our dependence, our ajnana, our ashuddhi, all the impurities, everything gets liberated. And not only this, even the samsara chakra, the cycle of life, death also gets liberated. So everything together is moksha. And some people may say, I don't need moksha, I don't want it. But knowingly or unknowingly, all of us, we are all trying to get moksha, because each one of us wants 3 things. One, we always are having a fear of death. Nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to live forever at any step, at any stage, at any disease of life. And that's why this itself means that people want nityatva, means they want eternality. They don't want limitation. Number 2, we are all, made in such a way that we are yearning, thirsty for knowledge. We want to know right from the childhood. A child also wants to know a lot of things. Give him a toy, he wants to open it up and see how it works. Everybody is very inquisitive for knowledge to relieve the ignorance, avidya, nivrutti. And third, we all want pleasure in our life. We want sukha. Nobody wants pain, miseries or dukkha in their life. And that itself shows that we all want 3 things. The nityatva, that is called sat, tattva, the knowing, or we want to know knowledge, that is the chit, and we all want happiness, bliss, that is the ananda. So we all want sat, chit and ananda, which is the swarup of Brahma, and which itself leads to moksha. So all of us want moksha eventually. We don't know it, but all of us want it actually. But Vedanta tells us that the Vedanta Mahavakya, the Ved Mahavakya, Tattva Masi, and such other 4 Mahavakyas which are there in each Veda, actually makes us understand this crux of Atma Jnana, that is the Jiva and the Brahma are one and the same, and that gives rise to moksha. So Vedanta goes to the root of the problem, and the root of the problem, according to our Shastras, is the ignorance. the Ajnana. Because of this ignorance, our Atma Tattva, our Jnana, our self-knowledge is hidden. And this ignorance takes form of several different, because of the moha, ashuddhis, a lot of raga, dvesha, asuri sampattis, the kama, krodha, mada, moha, matsarya. All these are the forms of ashuddhi or ignorance. But the only way to relieve this ignorance is by Brahma Jnana or Atma Jnana, and that is what Vedanta and Veda are there for. So this gives us a complete freedom during this lifetime, and that is the most important. Nobody wants freedom after their death, because then it is not of use in this life. I just want those knowledge that is going to help me in this life, and that's why if I want to be free, I want to be free in this life, during this lifetime. And that's why what Vedanta gives us is moksha or nirvana is not just a state after death, but it is this nirvana during this lifetime. So this is called Sadeha Mukti, or it is also called Jivana Mukti, and this is a freedom in this life. And these people who are enlightened, who are wise, who develop this Jivana Mukti, they also have the additional benefit of Videha Mukti. That means they are liberated, they are free after death also. They don't need to take birth again and again. They are liberated from this samsara chakra, this cycle of birth and death. So the spiritual journey starts with an inquiry, who am I? And this is the first question in the spiritual journey. We want to know who we are actually really behind this everything that keeps changing. I want to know what is that truth, what is my ultimate goal in life, and how can I achieve this goal? What are the ways and means are given to me to achieve this goal? Who is God? Where does He live? What is this world? How was it created? So I want to know about Jiva, Jagata and Ishvara. These are the three things that I want to know. And also I want to know the relationship between these three things, the Jiva, Jagata and the Ishvara. And this is where the inquiry starts, to understand what is behind all this. So we consider our Shastras as our Pramana. They are the evidence based on which they tell us what is the reality. The highest level of evidence is called the Shruti Shastra, which are the Veda Shastra and the Upanishad Shastra. They are called Apaurushaya because they are not created by humans, but they are created by Lord Himself, Bhagavan. And then they were seen, these shlokas, mantras were seen by the Rishi Muni and then written down as text. For many, many years, these were passed on for generations, even before the text or the lipi became, the script was available. It was by Shrunati or Shravanam. Means Guru used to speak these shlokas, mantras, and the Shishya used to memorize this and recite this, and then he used to pass on to the next generation. And that's why these Shastras are also called Shruti Shastra. The second level of evidence are the Smruti Shastra, which are written by Rishi Munis based on the Vedas and the Upanishads. The same things are given, written, the Artha Katana, the meaning of these shlokas are explained more in details. The third type are called Purana Shastras, and these Purana Shastras are 18 Puranas, 18 Upapuranas, and they are more in form of stories, parables, which help us explain the depth of these Veda and Upanishad. They also give very succinct examples, simple examples which are very profound, helps us to understand the reality that is given to us by the Veda and the Upanishad. And there are many, many Leelas, Charitra of the Lord. Say, for example, in Bhagavad Purana, where the all the avatars of the Lord are given, described very well. And then there are the Sutra Shastra, which are very nutshell, very short, very aphorismic recitals of small topics, and they are very in a nutshell. And then there are this Itihas Shastra, which are large epics like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. And then finally the Bhashya Shastras. Bhashyas are commentaries written by great saints. There are so many saints who have written many, many commentaries on many, many scriptures. So these are the Bhashya Shastras. So these are according to the level of evidence, how the Shastras are, determined. And then these are the three subjects which the Shastras talk about: the Jiva, the Ishvara and the Jagata, as we discussed. And the main subject matter of the Shastra is to show oneness. Out of all these differences, Veda Buddhi, how can we see the oneness behind all of these? That is the Mukhya Vishaya, or the main subject of the Shastra. Then there are many sadhanas. Sadhanas are the ways and means to connect to the Lord, divinity. And these sadhanas, how they work, they remove some of the impurities from our mind and they give some phala or benefit, or some fruits are given. The common sadhanas that are used in daily routine practice and which have been described very extensively in the Bhagavad Gita and other Shastras. One, and the most important, foremost, is the Karma Yoga, from where we can start our journey, that takes care of all these impurities of our mind, the Raga, Dvesha, all the Asuri Sampattis like Kama, Krodha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. And what it gives to us is the Antakarana Shuddhi, purity of the inner mind, which is very, very important. If we have to understand this Atma Gnana, then Antakarana has to be Shuddha, it has to be receptive, it has to be eligible, it has to be suitable to grasp this Atma Gnana, which requires a very pure and a clean buddhi. The second sadhana which is commonly used is Bhakti Yoga, that we use the devotion or the worship to the Lord as a ways and means to connect to the Lord. This takes care of our chanchalata of the mind. The mind is very, very wavering. It keeps moving from one object to the other, keeps on moving like a monkey, goes from one branch to the other. And the phala of these is that this helps our mind to focus, to concentrate, chitta ekagrata, or our mind becomes more focused and concentrated. The third sadhana which is commonly used is Ashtanga Yoga, which consists of the eightfold yoga, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Samadhi, and all these 8 Ashtanga Yogas are helping us to make us more disciplined. Our undisciplined life becomes more disciplined. It helps us to, develop some purity of our life. And finally, the Jnana Yoga Sadhana, which takes care of the Jnana and gives us the Atma Jnana. Now, this is not a new path. It has been traveled by many seers earlier, and we need to go on this path. We don't have to create any new path, but we have to just travel on wherever our seers, our munis, our rishis have gone. We have to travel on the same path. Now, there is something like a eligibility for obtaining the Atma Jnana or the self-knowledge, and this eligibility is called Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti. There are a fourfold qualification which is needed to attain this Atma Jnana. The first and the foremost is Viveka. This is the path where we have to use our buddhi, our mind, our intellect to do vichara. So this discrimination is not from a negative context, like we are discriminating different people, but it is from a positive aspect where we can discriminate what is the truth and what is not the truth. When there is a mixture of different things, we can actually discriminate between the two, what is the correct thing. The second important sampatti or the attribute that we require is vairagya, dispassion from the worldly objects with an understanding that this is not going to give me the satisfaction, the fulfillment that I require, I need, I desire. And this comes with a correct understanding of the worldly objects. The Mahatva Buddhi, the priority, the commitment goes down, and our Mahatva Buddhi, priority, commitment towards attaining the divinity goes up. And then gradually with this understanding we get this Vairagya, which is very, very important. Without Vairagya we cannot get Atma Jnana. It is not just possible. Shama Adi Shat Sampatti. So Shama Adi Shat Sampatti means this is the kind of discipline that it gives us to. Shama, Dama, mind control, sense control. Uparati, withdrawal of our unnecessary attitudes, behaviors. Titiksha, Sahanshilta, our endurance. Shraddha, faith, Samadhana, mind, Ekagrata. And Mumukshutvam. The final attribute is Mumukshutvam, a desire for freedom. Not just desire, but even an intense desire for freedom is what is needed. So the Gnana Sadhana, the journey for self-knowledge, also requires 3 important sadhanas. The first one and the foremost one is a Shravana, means we have to listen to the Uddesha of the Guruji about the Vedanta Vakya, our scriptures, what Guruji has to tell us, understand us, the meaning. And then we have to do a lot of manana in our own mind. We have to think about it with logic and understand the clear meaning. resolve the doubts that we have in our mind. And finally, we need to do Vedantic meditation called Nididhyasana, where all the Viparit sanskaras, the opposite impressions that are there in our mind, have to be corrected and changed to the correct sanskaras according to our Shastras. So this is the process how we obtain Atmagnana. But Vedanta also utilizes a very, very peculiar process where to show the Viveka between Atma and Anatma, the discrimination, what is Anatma, what is Atma, and how it goes, and what is the method it employs is that it goes from the familiar one, from the known, it goes towards the unknown. So essentially what it will do is, because Anatma is very easily known to us, this Sharir, this Man, this Pran, this Buddhi, all this is more familiar to us rather than Atma, which is not very familiar to us. And that's why initially it tells us Anatma, no, Neti. Neti means that no, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this. So this is how we keep doing Neti, and that is how the structure of Nirvana Shatakam is created. Neti, and finally in the last sloka it will tell us what I really am. That is what I will be knowing. So Atma, who am I? So let us start with the first sloka. Mano Bhutyahankar Chitani Naham Nacha Kshotra Jibhe Nacha Ghran Netre Nacha Vyoma Bhumi Natejo Navayu Chidanandarupaha Shivoham Shivoham Chidanandarupaha Shivoham Shivoham. So in this first mantra tells us that I am neither my mind and I am nor my buddhi, my intellect. So these are all Mana Buddhi, are part of our Sukshma Sharira. Even I am not my Ahankara, not my ego, and I am not my mind complex, the Chitta. So all these are of course again part of Sukshma Sharira. I am not the Shotra, organ of hearing, neither I am the Jivva, the organ of taste. I am not the organ of smell, Grhana, na Netra. I am not the organ of seeing. So these are all our Gnanendriya, the sense organs through which we grahana, we collect all the information and knowledge from outer world. So essentially we need to understand that we are, as a human, we are part of three bodies, and these three bodies are the Sthula Sharira, the Sukshma Sharira, and the Karana Sharira. And our real self is the knower of all these three. So we are Sharira Traya Sakshi. We are the knower of all the three types of bodies. So let us understand what are these three types of bodies. The first one is the Sthula Sharira, the gross body which is seen, which is visible, which is Indriya. Through Indriya it can be perceived by the senses. It is a Shad Vikaravat. It goes through 6 modifications in life. Asti, that is conception. Jayate, that is a birth when we are born. Vardate, it's a growth phase. Viparinamate, pubertal changes, all the changes that happen, like mustache, beard for males, pubertal development for females. Apakshiyate means then there is a destruction which starts after about 30s or 40s, and then finally it comes to death, vinashyati. The subtle body, which is more sukshma, which is more important, consists of 5 Gnanendriya, through which we collect all the senses, all the information and the knowledge from outside. Pancha Karmendriya, the 5 knowledge action senses through which we do all the karma in this world. Pancha Prana, which flows in us as the 5 states of different energies, and Mana and Buddhi. So total 17 elements are there in Sukshma Sharira. And the causal body, which is called Karana Sharira, which is Avidya Rupam, which is ignorance, and which only can be vanished with knowledge, with Atmajnana. So our inner self, which is also called Antakarana, we need to understand what is this. It consists of 4 things. First is the Mana, Buddhi, Chitta and Ahankara. And the organ for this is just one. It is the brain, which functions all this. But based on the function, the different names are given. Mana. Mana is the one which do sankalpa vikalpa, means it keeps debating whether this sankalpa or this vikalpa, what are the options, what are this, it keeps thinking. And these thinking, the emotions, all these are the part of the mana. Chandrama is the devata for mana. Buddhi. Buddhi is the one which takes the decision. So this function of the brain which takes the decision, which chooses the correct approach, Nishchayatmika, and Brahma is the devata for Buddhi. Ahankara, ego. Ahankarta, I am the doer, this kind of a ahankara. Rudra is the devata. And Chitta, the Chintan Kartru, means the one that keeps memorizing, collecting, recollecting, recalling the memory. This function of the brain is called Chitta or memory. Vasudeva is the devata. The 5 sense organs, the 5 Jnanendriyas, have 5 Vishayas through which it gets all these, knowledge. The 5 Vishayas are Sabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. And the 5 Indriyas are Shabda is perceived by Shotra Indriya. Diga Devta is the Devta. Second is a Sparsha, which is perceived by the touch. And Vayu is the Devta. Chakshu perceives the Rupa, Rupa Vishaya. And Surya is the Devta. Rasana perceives the taste. Varuna is the Devta. And Granam, the smell. Gandha, Vishaya. And Ashwino is the Devta. Nacha Vyoma Bhumir na Tejo na Vayu. Here it says, I am neither the Vyoma, the sky, or the space, neither the earth, nor the fire, nor the wind. And this essentially tells us, I am the consciousness, tells us that I am neither of these, one of these 5 great elements. And these 5 elements, my nature is Ananda Rupa, the nature is bliss, total bliss, and that is my nature. So that is what I am, the Shiva, Shivoham, Shivoham, the blissful consciousness, the Brahma, the Sarva Vyapaka, that is my real nature. So the 5 great elements are the ones that are used in the creation of this universe, Pancha Mahabhuta, through which the Jagata Utpatti happens, Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal and Prithvi. First the Akasha is Sambhuta created, then Akashat, from Akash there is Vayu, Vayu, Teja, Teja, Apa, water, and then finally Prithvi is developed. This is the sequence. Here we are talking of the Sukshma Panch Mahabhuta. First, the Sukshma, everything Sukshma develops, and then there is a Panchikaranam. Panchikaranam means mixing of these 5 elements, and from this, the Stula Jagata develops from the Tamas Ansh of the Panchikaranam, Pancha Mahabhuta. So God is considered, Ishvara is the creator of this universe, and the understanding is the Karya Karana Sambandha between the creation and the creator. There is a relationship which we need to understand. The Karana of any Karya can be of 2 types. One is called the Nimitta Karana, which is instrumental cause like a Kumbhara or a potter who creates a pot. And the second is the Upadana Karana, the material cause, the clay or the sand which is used to make the pot, mitti, from which the pot is made. That is the Upadana Karana. And Upadana Karana can be Vivarta, means there is no change. Like example, very common example given in our scriptures is Rajju and Sarpa. And Parinama, where there is a change in its structure from when the milk becomes a curd, there is a change in the structure. So, in most of the philosophies of the world, Ishvara is considered to be the instrumental cause of the creation. But in our Vedic philosophy, we understand, it is told to us that Ishvara is not just the instrumental cause, he is the creator definitely, but he is also the material cause of the creation, meaning that he is part of the creation. He is not just the creator, but he is also the creation. We can see him in the creation everywhere. He is Sarva Vyapaka, all pervading, and that is what Bhagavana Krishna tells us even in Bhagavad Gita. In the 11th Adhyaya, he shows us the cosmic form, the Vishwarupa of the Lord. And of course, there is a Saguna Sakar Swarupa, but there is a Nirguna Swarupa also, which is Akshar Avyakta Swarupa, which is also, which is Sarva Vyapaka Brahma Swarupa. So all these understanding we need to have. We also need to understand the manifestation of the universe. It is not called creation, because creation means something created out of zero. Here in our Vedic philosophy, there is nothing like Shunya. Basically everything is Purna, it is complete. and only from complete the complete comes. So it is from unmanifest universe that the manifest universe develops. So it is a manifestation of the universe. It is not in real sense the creation of the universe. So that is the understanding. This is also nowadays accepted in the law of conservation of mass and energy, which states that there is no energy or no mass or matter can be destroyed or created. Everything, it's it goes from one state to the other. And this is what our Rishi Munis have told us thousands of years ago. So manifestation happens from 24 elements of the creation of the universe, the Pancha Mahabhuta, Pancha Vishaya, Pancha Gnanendriya, Pancha Karmendriya. All this develops from these elements, and this is what the Sankhya philosophy tells us. And the 25th element is the Purusha, the one who is the knower of all these 24 elements. So Brahma takes the ashraya of Maya. Maya is the Maya Shakti of the Ishvara, which is under the control of Brahma. And this is the Trigunatmika. It is consisting of three gunas, the Sattva, Rajas and Tama, with which Maya is, it is engrossed with these three gunas. And the same three gunas come in the Jagata because it is the Karya. Whatever three gunas are there in the Karana, that will come in the Karya also. Nacha prana samnyo navai panchavayu nava saptadhatu nava panchakoshaha nava panipadam nachopasthapayu chidanandarupa Shivoham, Shivoham. So in this shloka, it says, I am not the prana, the sangna, the five pranas, neither I am the panchavayu, the five vital air. I am neither the sapta dhatu, I am not the seven tissues or the ingredients of this body, or the five sheaths or the five layers of my personality that I have. I am neither of these, but I am. So panchavayu, let us understand what is the energy system in the body. Prana, Udana, Vyana, Samana and Apana. These are the five layers of energies that we have in the body. Prana is the breathing or the respiratory system. Udana, that is the regulatory system. It works in the body. The third is the Vyana, the circulatory system which flows the blood in the body. The fifth is the Samana or the digestive system in the abdomen. And the sixth is the Apana or the excretory system. So all these energy systems work. They all work through the Vayu, and through which all this prana shakti is, and then we have seven layers of this chakra which can be activated right from Muladhara chakra to the Sahasra chakra. Apart from that, we have seven tissues, Sapta Dhatu, and these are the body fluids that we have in the body, like blood, body fluid, serum, a lot of other interstitial, intercellular, extracellular fluids in the body, blood, muscular tissue, adipose tissue. We have the bony tissue, the asthi, the majja, the bone marrow and the nervous tissue from where the blood cells are created, and then finally the generative tissue including the semen and the ovum. So all these are part of our the seven tissues, but I am neither of these seven tissues. The Pancha Kosha, the five sheaths, the functional sheaths, five types of sheaths, these are basically the functions. The anatomical layers are the three types of bodies. Here are the five types of sheath, the functional part. The first is our physical appearance, Annamaya Kosha, which develops from the Sthula Sharira, which is because of the Anna, the food that we eat. Because of these, we develop our physical characteristics. The second, third and the fourth, there are three ones. The Manomaya, Pranamaya and Vijnanamaya Kosha are the energy, other sheaths which are part of the Sukshma Sharira. The energy sheath is the Pranamaya Kosha, which develops from the Pancha Vayu, the five Vayu, and the Pancha Indriya, five Gnanendriya. The Manomaya Kosha is developed, the psychological personality of ours, developed by the mind and the five sense organs. Vijnanamaya Kosha, our intellectual personality, develops because of the Buddhi along with the five Indriya, the Gnanendriya, which forms our Buddhi Shakti, the intellectual personality that we have. So these three sheaths or Kosha are made up of the Sukshma Sharira, the Pranamaya Kosha, the Manomaya Kosha and the Vijnanamaya Kosha, which have different functions. The functions are completely different. And finally, the Anandamaya Kosha, the Bliss Kosha, is made up of Avidya, which is a part of the Karana Sharira, the causal body, and it is made up of ignorance. And this is the root cause of all our deaths and lives that we take. And what I am, I need to understand, I am Panchakoshatita. I am separate from these 5 sheaths. And this is a shloka of Tattva Bodha, which is an elementary document of the Vedanta, where it says that what is mine cannot be I. Means what is the object that I see, the subject, whoever is the seer, is different from the seen. So the object is seen, I am the seer, I am the drashta, and what I am seeing, the subject, the objects are the drashya. I am the kshetrajna, I am the knower. Kshetra is all these jagata and sharira, all these are in the 13th adhyaya, first shloka, Bhagavan says, idam shariram kshetra. So sharira is the kshetra, but I am the kshetrajna, the knower of this sharira and of this world. So similarly, just as I know that these are my ornaments, this is my house, these are my keys, these are my clothes where I wear, they are clearly separate from me. Similarly, they cannot be me. And similarly, this is my body, my breath, my mind, my brain, my knowledge, all these I can clearly see they are separate from me. I call this, I am not this body, but this is my body. This is what I call. And that's why they are not Atma. And that's why this is the understanding of the Vedanta. Navak Pani Adana Cho Upastha Payu. So I am neither the speech, I am neither the hand, nor the feet, nor the upastha, the genital organs, nor the payu or the excretory organs. So these are the 5 karmendriyas. But I am Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am the bliss state, I am the Shivoham, I am the final. So Pancha Karmendriya are the 5 sense organs which help us to do our regular routine activities, our karma. All the karmas that we do are because of this Pancha Karmendriya. And these indriyas also have vishayas like vak. We speak, bhashanam, all speaking is a type of a karmendriya. Devta is Agni, Devta, Pani are the hands where we do all our kartavya karmas with the hand, vastu grahanam. Pada are the feet through which we do walking, running and other cycling and other things. Vishnu, Bhagavan is the Devta. Payu is our malatyaga, our excretory organs through which, and finally Upastha is where the organs of procreation, which is Prajapati is the Devta. Essentially, we also need to understand that these 5 karmendriyas, 5 jnanendriyas, they are all part of Sukshma Sharira. These ears and these eyes are not the indriyas, but these are called the Golaka. They are the Sthula organs through which these energy or this Shakti or this Indriya Shakti works. So it manifests through this. I can hear through my sense organ. People may have the ears, but they cannot listen. People may have their eyes, but they cannot see. And that's why this Shakti is Sukshma, it is part, it works behind, it takes these messages to the brain. So this is how we need to understand. Name tvesha rago, name lokamo, mado naiva me naiva matsarya bhava. न धर्मो न चार्थो न कामो न मोक्षः चिदानन्द रूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्द रूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं. So I am not the raga dvesha, I am not the hatred or affection. I commonly say I love you, but I am not the person who loves, because I am not, it is all, the emotions are part of my mind actually, it is not part of my own self. Name lobha, I am not the greed, I am not the moha, all these asuri sampati, the mada, matsarya, all these are asuri sampatis, these are not part of me. I am not these asuri sampatis, they are part of my mind, they are the gunas, they are the attributes of my mind. Raga Dvesha are the root cause of our problems, the root cause of all the dualities and all the ashuddhis that we have. Raga is nothing but the Sukha Vritti, that this object, this person, this relation should be remain with me because I like it. My likes essentially, which gives me a Sukha, and that's why I want it to be with me all the time, and that's why I have these desires to have this Sukha, and then it becomes a lobha, greed to develop or have it all the time. Similarly, Dvesha is the Dukkha Buddhi, my dislikes, my I don't like it, and that's why I don't want it to be with me. I want it to be away from me. And if that person or that object comes to me, then I develop a like kind of a anger, and sometimes may resort to even physical violence or mental violence, verbal violence. Essentially, raga, dvesha, they remain in the mind in a very dormant stage, and they get activated by some nimitta, some kind of a instrument, some a cause happens so that they get activated, and they create an impression in the mind. But the gnani, the enlightened person's mind is like a mirror, because there are no impressions, it does not have raga, dvesha, they are all neutralized, and only with this we can obtain this Atma Jnana. No dharma, no artha, no wealth, neither the righteousness, nor the kama, nor the desires, nor the moksha. So these are the 5 purushartha, the areas of our human pursuits. So as we say, dharma, artha, kama and moksha. So I am neither of these purushartha. This is where I have to do prayatna, where I have to work. But I am Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. 4th shloka. Na punyam na papam na saukyam na dukkham na mantro na tirtham na veda na yajna aham bhojanam naiva bhojam na bhokta Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. So either I am not the punya, nor the papa, nor the merits, nor the sins. I am not the sukha, nor the dukkha, nor the joys, nor the sorrows. I am neither the sacred hymns, the mantra, or the tirtha, places of pilgrimage. I am neither the Veda, nor sacrificial offerings, yagna. All these are not me in real sense. I am but Chidananda Shivoham Shivoham. So the process of sukha, dukkha, and to remain equipoised, something that we need to understand. There is something called a nimitta, an instrumental or a cause and reason, which ignites some kind of a vritti or feelings in our antakarana, in our mind. And then there is the tadatmya, an association with this, where we identify with the sameness of this. And then Agnani says, oh, I am dukhi, I am very dukhi, or I am sukhi, I am happy, I am sad. All these feelings develop. But Gnani, they always know that this is the dharma of the mind, and they are not this mind, and that's why they say, my mind is happy or my mind is sad. But they never say, I am happy or I am sad. So I am the awareness of all these pleasures and pains that I am undergoing, I am experiencing. That is what we have to understand. Sadhaka has to think that this nimitta are all because of the destiny, and destiny is all because of my purva karma phala, and with which I should not have much raga, dvesha, sukha, dukkha, are all because of these instrumental causes of my previous karma. And I should try to use this sukha, dukkha in my life, all these circumstances, to reach my goal by learning from all this rather than getting stuck in my sadhana. And I am the awareness of all these vrittis that arise in me, and I have to see this and understand this, that I am not this. I don't have to develop a kind of an association, a tadatmya. And this tadatmya is because of my viveka, because I don't think properly. And this is the where I have to work. This is the area of my pursuit. I have to try my best. This is not something that I can leave to my destiny, but I have to try and see how I can be aware of my feelings. I don't get the tadatmya, don't become one with them, and then become angry on somebody. This is what I have to learn. So to obtain the Atma Jnana is also my purushartha. Of course, it's not part of the prarabdha, but yes, the grace of the Lord is important here, but prarabdha is not there. It's our own purushartha that creates the prarabdha and gives us this Atma Jnana. So let me go above the sukha, dukkha, become one, develop antakarana shuddhi, and then finally obtain the Atma Jnana. So this is what sadhaka has to think, using the brain, which is the best gift given to us by the Lord. Sukha, dukkha are part of our life, and we should say it as our Ishwar Krupa, and then Bhakta will always see like this, and will always think that this dukkha are all gone, with this sukha is also gone, and this is how I should change my attitude, and I cannot change anyone else. So I am neither the bhojanam, the experience of the bhoga that I am doing, neither I am the object to be experienced, Neither I am the Bhokta, neither I am the experiencer or the enjoyer of the object, but I am Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. So Kartrutva, that I am this is so strong in us, and it cannot be taken away immediately. It has to gradually be dissolved. And there are several stages that Guruji explains to us. The first stage is we feel that I am the doer, I am independent, I can do anything. Gradually we understand that we need to develop more Shuddhikarana, so more doing the Dharma Karma, Kartavya Karma, Nishchit Karma. And finally, we have to do Udvikaran, means get more involved in Sattvic Karma, do Sattva Karma. And then finally, we have to accept that Lord is part of this. And once we accept this, then we share the karmas also. Finally, we come to a stage where we partner with the Lord. That karma I am doing, karma phala, Ishvara is giving me. So this is the partnership. Then finally, Kartrutva keeps shifting more to the Lord. I see His grace more and more in all the actions of my life. And I start doing this action with Nimitta Matra Bhava. And then finally, I submit myself completely to the Lord, become Ishwararpana Bhava. And then finally, we have to think, do inquiry that whether Kartrutva is in Maya. If it is not in Maya, can it be in Chaitanya? No, it cannot be. Can it be in this Chitta Jada, Chitta Granthi? No, it cannot be. And then the Kartrutva or the pride or the ego gets vanished by understanding that it is Mithya, it is an illusion. So this is the shifting process. The fifth shloka, Namrutyur na shanka na me jati bhedah Pita naiva me naiva mata na janmaham Na bandhur na mitram gurur naiva shishyam Chidananda rupa Shivoham Shivoham Namrutyu, I am neither the death, I am not born. Na Shanka, I have no fear, I don't have a caste discrimination, I am neither the father nor the mother, neither I am somebody's relation, I am not a friend, I am not a guru, I am neither a disciple, but I am the blissful conscious Shiva. This is what is the understanding. All these discriminations are part of the Veda Buddhi, but I have to understand that I am a Veda, I am the awareness behind all these Veda. And then coming to the final shloka, who am I finally? Aham nirvikalpo nirakarupo vibhutva cha sarvatra sarvendriyana nacha sangatam naiva muktirna meya chidananda rupa Shivoham Shivoham. So finally it says Aham Nirvikalpa. I am without any variation. There is Nirvikalpa means it is unmanifest. I am Nirakar, I am formless. I am Vibhu. Vibhu means I am all pervading, Sarvavyapaka. I am Vachya means I am the substratum, the Adhisthana of everything. I am Sarvatra, everywhere, and Sarvendriyana, behind all the sense organs. I am because of which all the sense organs and the Jnanendriya, the Karmendriyas keep working. And it says, I am Asanga, I have no attachments to anyone, I am completely free, I am not unmeasurable, I am blissful consciousness, Chidananda Rupa, I am Shivoham Shivoham. So finally coming back to the question, who am I? And where we started. So this is a journey that I have to take from my Anatma going towards my Atma to understand who am I, and then from Atma to Sarvavyapaka Brahma, from individual consciousness to the eternal consciousness, where I need to understand that everything is one, and the Jeev and the Jagat that I am seeing is not in its reality. The reality behind this is the truth, which is Sat, Chit and Ananda, and that is the Brahma. So I also need to understand, to observe, to become a Sakshi, to be an awareness that I can see my body, and that's why I'm not this body. Need to clearly understand, clearly see this. I can perceive my breath, so I'm not this prana. I'm aware of my senses, my Indriya Shakti. I'm not these Indriyas. I can witness my thoughts. I can really see them. I should not get engulfed by my thoughts, and I'm not my mind. I can see my decisions. I can assess my decisions. I'm not my buddhi, and who am I finally? And I am the observer, the Sakshi, Atma, behind all this that is happening. I'm the observer. To develop this kind of attitude, we can be in the now, we can be in the present, we can be in the awareness, and this is the best way to experience Atma. A lot of people ask me, have you ever experienced Atma? Atma is something that only you can experience yourself. It is Sakshat Aparoksha. This can be directly realizable, experienceable. You are the awareness, and one we have to be in the now to experience this Atma. The present moment is the moment of awareness, consciousness, where I can feel my presence all the time. And so, if come back to who am I am now, I am eternal. And this is on a Vyashti level, I am the present awareness. On a Samashti level, I am eternal, I am always there, I am Satchit and Ananda. So with this, we come to the end of Nirvana Shatakam. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parah Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Namada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om